Welcome back everyone to my channel Maths by Gurpreet Sekho. And in the previous videos we have completed the 6th chapter of class ninth, and we are now starting the syllabus of 12th class with the chapter 5, that is continuity and differentiability. Continuity is a different concept and differentiability is different, though they are interconnected, but the thing is they can be taught only separately. So we will be learning continuity on some other day, and we will start with the differentiability for today. Okay, before starting differentiability, I will really like to take this thing into account, and also would like to tell you that I am referring to only NCRT books because those are very widely accepted by the students, and most of the students use NCRT books in several schools. That is why I am referring to that, and I will be solving examples according to the numbers in NCRT book only. And if you have any problem in any book from any author's book, you can post that problem in the comment section and I will feel more than happy to answer your problem. Okay, so don't feel that this lecture is only about NCRT books. It's about the concept, and I will be teaching you the concept with the help of some examples which are given in the NCRT book. So that is why just understand the concept and then you can apply it to the any statement, and then you can solve the sums. So without any delay, we should start with our chapter differentiability. It's actually 5.2. 5.1 is of continuity, and we will be starting with our exercise 5.2 of NCRT 12th book. Clear? So let's start. Firstly, there is a definition of derivative. Like when we derive a function, what will we get? There is a definition of derivative, and I will explain that with the help of a function f. We have to suppose that f is a function. Let f is a function, and c as any point in its domain. What's domain? In a layman language, we can say that domain is actually range of that functions, the set of that functions, that set of that values that satisfies the function f, that is known as the domain of function f in the layman language. Okay, so consider c is any point in the function f's domain, then the derivative of f will be defined by derivative of f will be equal to, that is f dash, it will be equal to limit h approaches to 0 f of c plus h minus f of c upon h. Now what's h? H is actually, the value of h is greater than 0, but it's very negligibly small. It's greater than 0, but it's also approaching to 0. Now approaching to 0 means 0.000 something, approximately equal to 0 but not exactly equal to 0. It's approaching to 0 only. That is the value of h. So don't get confused that what is h. Okay, and in continuity chapter that h is explained very well, so when we'll do the continuity we will do this. Otherwise the derivatives definition is not that much needed in this chapter, in this topic under differentiability. Okay, so now if derivative of f at c is defined as this, then derivative of f, and if we take x as any point, then of course c will be replaced by h, and your f dash x will be equal to limit h approaches to 0 f of x plus h minus f of x upon h. Okay, this is the definition of what actually a derivative is. Clear? This is all about. I know some of the students are really wondering that what is this and why have we written this. I would really like to tell you that it's pretty much explained in the chapter continuity, so don't worry about that. I will also be making video in continuity chapter once we will be once we will finish the differentiability topic. Okay, so don't worry about that. And in this chapter there are many topics under this topic differentiability with which we will be dealing. So let's start with those topics. Now in previous classes you have known about the derivatives of several functions. So firstly I will just recall your previous knowledge. Okay, in the lower classes you have studied that if there are two functions and they are getting added up, for example u plus v, and u and v are functions of x, then derivative of u plus v will be equal to derivative of u with respect to x plus derivative of v with respect to x. And the same thing goes with if the function is being subtracted. Now u minus v will be equal to derivative of u with respect to x minus derivative of v with respect to x. We can generalize the same thing with the product as well. When two functions are getting multiplied and they are of x, then derivative of the product will be u differentiation of v with respect to x plus v differentiation of u with respect to x. Clear? And let's recall the division function as well. D upon dx of u upon v will be equal to v differentiation of u with respect to x minus u differentiation of v with respect to x upon v square. Don't get confused, because most of the students do like in the product it's u and then dv upon dx, they do the same. Now we can do the same only if there would be plus sign, but there is subtraction sign, so don't do that. Your sum will be horribly wrong. Okay, so these are some of the functions. Apart from this, there are functions like trigonometric functions. If we derive sine x with respect to x, we will get cos x. If we derive cos x with respect to x, we will get minus of sine x. If we derive tan x, then we will get secant square x. If we derive secant x with respect to x, we get secant x tan x. These are basic identities, and you must be knowing these before doing sums. When we derive cotangent x with respect to x, we get minus of cosecant square x, and when we derive cosecant x with respect to x, we get minus of cosecant x cot x. Now these are basic differentiating formulas that when a function, this kind of function will be derivated with respect to x, then we will get this, we will get that. Now there is a particular rule which is going to be used in our very first exercise, and it's not that much mandatory until or unless you are asked to apply the same rule. That rule is chain rule, and I will be explaining the chain rule for you. It's a bit complicated, so it's not at all mandatory to apply chain rule each and every time. You should only apply chain rule whenever it's given that you have to solve the sum using chain rule. So we will be doing chain rule. So let's start with chain rule. Now chain rule is basically applied on composite functions. What are composite functions? There are several definitions of composite functions on the internet, but to make you understand it in a simple manner, I would say that composite function is that function which is made up of two or more than two functions. For example, sin x. Now sin x is a function that can be a composite function as well. For example, you take sin x square, that sin and in the bracket the angle is x square. So one function is sin x and the other one is x square, or you can say that sin t and the other function is x square, where t is equals to x square. So a function that is made up of two or more than two functions is known as composite function, and the chain rule is mainly applied on composite functions. So let's suppose f is a function that is defined as v of u. There are two functions v and u that are of x. Then you will let v as a function of t and u as a function of x. So when we will derive f with respect to x, we will get dv upon dt, and u which is and t u which is f of t, that is a function of x indirectly, you will get dt upon dx. Let me clear you this thing with the help of an example. Now df upon dx, for example, that is sin x square, and it's also your 21st example. we will be doing the chain rule with the help of 21st example. We have to derive fx is equals to sine of x square. Clear? Now in this, our f is made up of two functions. Let f is equals to v of u. What is v? The first function will be v, and the second one that is inside v, that will be u. Okay. Now let v is equals to, now v will be derivated with respect to t, so v must be the function of t, so vt will be equal to sine t. Clear? Now we have taken this function as sine t, so automatically it's understood that what is t? T is x square, t is x square. Indirectly we can say that it's u of x, because I have told you earlier that v must be a function of t and t must be a function of x. So t is a function of x and v is a function of t. Is it clear now? Now we will apply the chain rule. What we have to find? We have to find dv upon dt and dt upon dx. So firstly we will find dv upon dt. What's v? That is sine t. So we will derive sine t with respect to t. Sine t, the differentiation of sine t will be cos t. Clear? Now we have found dv upon dt. Similarly, we will find dt upon dx. What is t? That is x square. So x square will be derivated with respect to x, we will get 2x. Clear? Now what is df upon dx? dv upon dt multiplied dt upon dx. So just fill in the value, you will get df upon dx. What is at the first place? That is dv upon dt. What is dv upon dt? That is cos t. Now replace t. What was t? T was x square. So cos of x square. And what is dt upon dx? That is 2x. So multiply by 2x. That is our answer. Now we can do it in an alternative way as well. Let me show you that as well. The alternative way is much easier than the chain rule. That is why I told you earlier that if it's not mentioned in the statement that you have to use chain rule, then avoid using chain rule completely. Okay, but watch this video again and again in order to understand chain rule completely. And if you find any problem in any sum related to chain rule, related to the application of chain rule, kindly share that problem in the comment section. Alternative way, what was our function? Our function was sine of x square. Of course, f of x, because it's a function of x, f of x was equal to sine of x square. We have to find the derivative with respect to x. D of dx of sine x square. Clear? Now it's a function. Now firstly we will take it as a whole function. Okay, so sine x square, the differentiation of sine t, for example, will be cos t, that is cos of x square. And what we do after this, the bracket, we differentiate bracket again, d of dx of x square. Clear? So cos x square, and what's the differentiation of x square? That is 2x. So your answer will be 2x multiply cos x square. Now you can see that the answer using both of the methods, the chain rule as well as the alternative way and the simplest way, the answer is same, but the method is completely different. That is why if they have asked you to apply chain rule, you have to apply chain rule. Okay, so this was about chain rule and one example related to that. We are only left with two examples of chain rule, which we will be surely discussing. So before leaving my channel, don't forget to press the subscribe button in order to get updated with all of the new videos related to mathematics content of 9th to 12th classes. Okay, so if you have any suggestions and any views as well as any queries, feel free to drop them in the comment section.